This will be Lesson 2 from Unit 6 of Solving Systems of Equations. In Lesson 2, we are specifically looking at how to solve by graphing the equations. These are the information that we need for what happens. You solve them, graph them, and the solution is the point where the two lines intersect. Here are our calculator steps. We'll come back to the calculator steps when we do this example for the second time. So for the first time, we're going to do it by hand, and we're going to graph these by hand. We have the first equation in standard form, the second equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this one first. I need a y-intercept of 8 and I have a slope of -2. So I go to the beginning, which is this y-intercept of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I graphed where y is equal to 8. Now I have a slope of -2. That means -2 over +1. So I go down 2 and over 1 and get another point. And I continue going down 2 and right 1 on the grid until I cannot go any further. Once I have all of these done on this side, then I'll go to the other side, start from the y-intercept, and instead of going down, I'll go up. So that's a positive direction, and I need a negative slope, so I have to go to the left to make it negative. Now I'm going to connect these points. And we have our first line, I guess technically the second line, y equals -2x plus 8. So I went ahead and identified that line as -2x plus 8. Now the other line, instead of solving for y, what I'm going to do is go ahead and use the x-intercepts. Remember, we use the cover-up method. So if I cover up the y, I'm going to get the equation for the x-intercept of x equals 4. And if I cover up the x, I get -2y equals 4, and then I just solve that for y. Divide both sides by -2. So we get y equals -2. So I have here an x-intercept of 4, and down here a y-intercept of -2. And there's my intersection, which is the point 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 0. So this solution is 4, 0. So my solution is the ordered pair where x is 4 and y is 0. The x value is 4, the y value is 0. But what if I didn't have a grid available to graph, but I still needed to solve it by graphing? Then what you have to do is solve each of the equations for y. Back here, solve for y for both equations. This one is already solved for y. And for this one, we'll move the x, change the sign, divide by the number in front of the y, and this will become y equals +1/2 x minus 2. So we go to the calculator to y equals. We'll go ahead here, and in y1 we're going to enter this first equation. So we use alpha y equals to get our skeleton for our fraction. So we get 1/2 x, remember the variable key is here, and then we will have subtract 2. So 1/2 x minus 2. Then the next one is -2x plus 8. So what we do now is we graph. And there's the first one, and there's the second one. So we see the graph, or see the intersection of the two graphs on the screen, so we can go ahead now and follow with number 3. So we graphed both equations in y equaled, we saw their intersection. If we didn't see their intersection, we would have to zoom out until we actually see this part on the screen somewhere. Now we're going to calculate, which is second trace. So I go to the calculator and I use the second button and the trace button, which gets me to calculate, and specifically I want to calculate the intersection of these lines, and then I'm going to hit enter 3 times. When I hit enter once, it gives me the first equation and I'm on the first line. I don't want that. I hit enter twice. Now I've got the second equation and I'm on that line. I hit it again and it says guess, and I don't want to guess, so I'm going to hit enter again. And now it tells me that my intersection occurs when x is 4 and y is 0, which is what we found out when we did it by hand. So here is the intersection. X is 4, y is 0, so this is the ordered pair 4, 0, and that is how you graph in the calculator to find the intersection. Just follow the directions here, and it tells you your solution right there on the screen. So this is solving systems by graphing.